For 5 years, I had been by Clara's side through everything. I was her shadow, her protector, and, I thought, her future husband. Everyone who knew us knew I was the one she trusted most, the one she kept closest. After years working for her overseas, we were finally returning home. My mind was buzzing with plans, not for work but for our wedding. I was filled with a quiet excitement, imagining the life we were about to build together. That excitement shattered the day I came home and heard her voice from the living room. She was talking to someone, a man whose voice I didn't recognize at first. But then the pieces clicked into place. It was Ethan, her first love. I paused in the hallway, my hand hovering over the doorknob. "Leo took a bullet for you," Ethan was saying. "He almost died. Aren't you going to marry him?" I held my breath, waiting for her defense, for her to tell him how much I meant to her. Instead, I heard the soft creak of the leather couch as she leaned back. Her voice was light, almost careless. "He's a bodyguard," she said with a nonchalant smile I could picture perfectly. "Dying for their boss is just part of the job description. It's what's expected." She let out a small laugh. "Should I marry every person who works for me?" Ethan's reply was muffled, but Clara's next words were sharp and clear. "That makes sense," she agreed with him. "You should let him help plan our wedding, then." The world seemed to tilt on its axis. Their wedding, not ours. A cold wave of pain washed over me, so intense it was hard to breathe. I swallowed it down, forcing the lump in my throat to disappear. Without making a sound, I turned around and walked out the door, leaving the life I thought I had behind me. A short time later, I showed up at a family banquet. I wasn't alone. I had another woman with me, and when Clara saw the fresh mark on my neck, her face went deathly pale. "How are you two together?" she demanded, her voice tight with disbelief. The woman beside me, Chloe, simply wrapped her arm around my waist and laughed, a flirtatious and knowing sound. "You didn't want to repay the life-saving favor," she said, her eyes glinting with mischief. "So your sister is helping you out." I had met Clara at a banquet much like this one years ago. Tonight, however, I wasn't her silent guard. I was just another guest, trying to blend in. I saw her across the crowded room, standing next to a man with delicate, handsome features. He was holding a champagne flute, which he clinked against hers. He batted his eyelashes and asked in a sweet voice, "Clara, are you happy being engaged to me?" Clara gave him a doting smile, the kind I hadn't seen in a long time. She reached out and flicked his forehead gently. "What do you think, Ethan? I've been waiting for you for 10 years. My heart, which I thought couldn't break any further, seemed to splinter. I knew who Ethan was. He was Clara's childhood sweetheart, the boy she had a crush on all through her teenage years. They were officially together in college, a golden couple who traveled to Iceland for the Northern Lights and Norway to see the whales. They had even shared a passionate kiss at the top of a Ferris wheel, promising each other forever. But even the most idyllic love stories have their troubles. After countless arguments and reconciliations, they had finally separated for good. I met Clara a year after their breakup. I had just finished a job for a previous employer and was on my way to the airport when I was robbed. My money, my passport, everything was gone. I got into a fight with the thieves right there on the street. They outnumbered me, and while I held my own for a while, I didn't get my things back and ended up getting arrested for the brawl. That's when Clara appeared. She bailed me out, holding a black umbrella over me as the rain fell. She wore a long red trench coat that matched her lipstick, a slash of color in the dreary, freezing, rainy season of that country. She was the only warmth I saw that day. "Leo," she had said, her voice calm and steady. "You have nice skills, 8,000 a month. Interested in working for me?" I followed her for the next 5 years. A year into my service, at that very same spot where we met. She was ambushed. I didn't hesitate. I took a bullet for her. As my vision faded to black, I was sure my life was over. I woke up a month later in a sterile white hospital room. The usually composed and reserved Clara was sitting by my bed, her eyes red-rimmed and her appearance disheveled. "This is so rushed, but I can't wait any longer," she'd said, her voice thick with emotion. "Let's get engaged, Leo. When we return home, I'll marry you." I waited. I held on to that promise for 4 more years. Finally, in the 5th year, Clara shifted her career focus back home. The security was better, life was calmer, and I found myself with more free time. I started to plan our wedding in my head, picking out venues and imagining her walking down the aisle. Sadly, it was all just wishful thinking. Just like when I was a child, abandoned and waiting for a father who never came to pick me up, I was now waiting for a woman who had no intention of marrying me. Back in the present, at the party, I stood frozen, watching them. Ever since I was sent to the training base at 15, my life had been about executing tasks for employers. I rarely interacted with people on a personal level and was never good at handling complex relationships. I could complete a dangerous mission flawlessly, but the scene unfolding before me was a puzzle I couldn't solve. Just then, a waiter accidentally bumped into me, jostling me forward and drawing attention. "Leo?" I turned towards the voice. It was Clara. She hadn't expected to see me there. After a moment of shock, a flicker of displeasure crossed her features. She frowned slightly, her voice turning cold. "Who said you could come here?" The tone was accusatory, a tone she hadn't used with me even when I first started working for her 5 years ago. "So, this is Leo, is it?" Ethan got up from the couch and approached me like a curious child, looking me up and down. He finally grasped my hand eagerly. "Clara talks about you often. She says you're very skilled. I haven't seen you in action. Show me something. You wouldn't refuse, would you?" "Show him what? I wasn't a circus monkey." I looked at Clara, hoping she would intervene, say something to stop this humiliation. But she just stood there, looking away as if she hadn't heard a thing. I didn't move. Ethan frowned. "Clara, look at him. I'm practically his boss now, aren't I? And he doesn't listen to me." Clara's gaze finally fell on me, her eyes pressing down with an unfamiliar weight. "Don't be unreasonable," she said sternly. "Come on, it's not a big deal. You're sulking like someone died." "What a buzzkill, Clara," one of Ethan's friends sneered. "Where did you find someone like him?" The people around them chuckled. Clara just looked at me coldly, without a hint of the woman who once threatened to break a man's hand for teasing me lightly. She didn't say a single word in my defense. The feeling of being crushed was overwhelming, but I knew that until my contract with her was officially over, her orders were my priority. My gaze fell on the glass coffee table in front of me. I clenched my fist and, with a surge of anger and hurt, smashed it hard. The table shattered, sending shards of glass flying across the floor. I met Clara's indifferent eyes, my voice low and tight. "Is that enough?" The room descended into chaos. People cursed at me, calling me crazy as they checked themselves for cuts from the flying glass. Some demanded that Clara deal with me immediately. "Let it go," Clara said, her voice dismissive. "He lost his parents when he was young and barely went to school. He's clumsy. It wasn't on purpose. No need to make a fuss." Did she tell him my past? My most private pains, now cheap gossip for her friends? "The memories of our college days are flashing back," Ethan said loudly to the group, a smirk on his face. "We both aced our entrance exams, and we slept together right after graduation. She was incredible. Could really wear you out." "More, more! We want to hear more!" the crowd shouted. Ethan blushed theatrically. "Well, we traveled abroad often, didn't we? We promised we'd do it everywhere. So in every new country we visited, the first thing we did was..." He let the sentence hang, then sat back down next to Clara, his eyes full of smug hope. So, did you ever think of me in these 5 years? Clara looked at him, her own emotions swirling in her dark eyes. Yes. Ethan smiled, satisfied. Prove it. Clara's responding smile didn't reach her eyes. I moved my work focus back home for you. Isn't that enough? Not enough, he pouted. Clara fell silent for a moment, her gaze fixed on him. Then her hand shot out, grabbing his chin, and she kissed him fiercely, right there in front of everyone. After a moment of stunned silence, the room erupted in cheers that nearly brought the roof down. A few minutes later, Clara pulled away from Ethan and looked down at him with an expression of deep affection, her lips glistening. My heart was a raw, aching wound. My eyes stung with tears I refused to let fall. I turned to leave, but Ethan's voice stopped me. Hey, it was Leo, right? He called out. Clara, how about we get Leo to handle our wedding preparations? He's practically family. I trust him. Before I could argue, Ethan cut me off, feigning concern. Oh, Leo, your hand is bleeding. Maybe we should take you to the hospital. Clara glanced over at my bleeding knuckles. This was the same woman who used to panic over a minor cold. Now, she just frowned with impatience. It's just a small injury, she said indifferently. He can handle it himself. It's no big deal. I left. As I reached the exit of the private room, I almost bumped into someone leaning against the wall. I mumbled a soft apology. The person made a clicking sound with their tongue. Has it been over a year, and you're in this sorry estate? It was Chloe, Clara's half-sister. One hand was tucked in her pocket as she leaned lazily against the wall, her captivating eyes studying me. Even though they were sisters, they were polar opposites. Clara was composed and reserved. Chloe was rebellious and flamboyant. I'd heard Clara mention her sister was a troublemaker, someone who partied too much and wasn't serious about anything. I didn't have much to say to her. I muttered something non-committal and tried to leave, but she stuck out a leg to block my path. With skills like yours, if I were you, I'd have beaten up everyone in that room, she said, a mischievous glint in her eyes. They're making out right in front of you, and you're just mad? What's the point? If you win the fight, you go to jail. If you lose, you pay up. After a few seconds of silence, her hand landed on my shoulder, and she laughed heartily. When she finished, she said casually, I'll help you get back at them. I grabbed her wrist, my expression blank. Just as I was about to tighten my grip, Chloe slung her arm around my shoulder. Her gaze then dropped to my blood-stained hand. The laughter in her captivating eyes slowly faded, replaced by a coldness. Who did this? She asked, her voice sharp. I didn't understand her intense reaction. I tried to pull away, but Chloe was quicker. She dragged me downstairs and straight to a drugstore, emerging moments later with a small bag. She took my injured hand and began to carefully disinfect the wounds. The seriousness in her eyes was startling. She was handling my hand like it was something precious and fragile. She seemed like a completely different person from her usual carefree self. A strange feeling stirred in my chest. You don't need to do all this, I said, my voice rough. The injuries I'd sustained for Clara were always worse than this. A minor wound like this would usually be healed before I even got home. I unconsciously tried to pull my hand away, but Chloe held on tighter. She lowered her eyes, standing under the glow of a street lamp. Want to thank me? She asked, her lazy smile returning. Do me a favor. What kind of favor? Based on what you did to my hand, and for almost breaking my wrist, she said, nodding towards my bandaged knuckles. How about you let me crash at your place? I looked at her oddly. You're loaded. Don't you have anywhere else to hide? She pulled out a cigarette, but just held it between her fingers. The people looking for me are pretty capable, she admitted. Your place is the safest. So, she wanted to use me as a free bodyguard. I didn't want to get involved in her problems, especially since she was Clara's sister. It was just too complicated. She leaned against a sleek Bentley, rolling her eyes. Real cold-hearted, huh? If I get beaten to death on the street, you won't save me? Thinking about her wild reputation, I asked, Did you get tangled up with some guy? Chloe paused, then laughed and moved closer. Her unique scent, strangely aggressive and alluring, washed over me. Jealous? Harry, I've never had a guy. Maybe you should try my suggestion. Get back at them. She dropped me off at my apartment building. Downstairs, just as she was about to leave, she bumped into a delivery person, and coffee spilled all over her designer clothes. I had no choice but to let her come upstairs to clean up. The sound of the shower was clear from the living room where I waited on the couch. Eventually, the water stopped, and the bathroom door opened. Chloe emerged, wrapped only in a towel, steam rising from her skin. I widened my eyes in disbelief. What are you doing? Taking a shower, she said, glancing down at herself as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. Isn't it obvious? I thought she was just going to wipe off the coffee stain. What respectable woman just takes a shower at a man's house in the middle of the night? I held my tongue. She seemed unfazed. Borrowed your towel. Hope you don't mind. You've already used it. Why ask now? Chloe paused, not expecting my blunt response. Want me to return it? Her fingers lingered on the edge of the towel, as if she were about to pull it away. My heart skipped a beat. Chloe didn't play by the rules, and a stunt like this wasn't beyond her. No, I don't mind, I said quickly, stopping her hand. Our eyes locked, and there was a playful light dancing in hers. I jerked my hand away as if burned. She seized the opportunity, grabbing my hand before I could pull back completely. With skills like yours, she whispered, her voice husky. You grabbed the wrong place. She was too close, her scent filling my senses, creating a strange, unspoken tension. Maybe throwing her out wasn't an option. Luckily, Chloe knew when to back off. My clothes are dirty. Do you have any women's clothes here? Nope, I said. But if you don't mind, you can borrow my robe. It might not fit, but it's late. No one will see, and it'll be easier for you to leave. I opened the front door, hinting that it was time for her to go. Chloe's smile faded. Her eyes turned cold, her voice controlled. Leo, when I saved you overseas, I thought it would at least earn me shelter for a night. I get it. Your compassion is reserved for Clara. And then she was gone, leaving the room feeling suddenly empty. Her words triggered a memory. It was during a mission. I had succeeded but was trapped, unable to escape or reach Clara. I thought I was going to die in that dark, abandoned factory. Then, a car's headlights cut through the darkness. It was Chloe, driving in with perfect, thrilling skill. I escaped into her car. Later, by the seaside, she had been smoking, mocking me with a hint of anger. How much does Clara pay you to risk your life like this? If I'd come a minute later, you'd be toast. Back then, I was so head over heels for Clara I would have done anything. I'll pay you double, Chloe had offered. And it's safer. Join me. I shook my head. Chloe, we're not on the same path, I'd told her. She had sneered, her expression unreadable through the thin smoke. Clara might not be on your path either. 5 years later, that metaphorical bullet was now hitting me right between the eyes. Returning to the present, I gathered all the gifts Clara had given me over the years, boxed them up, and sent them back via courier. The next morning I was still half asleep when my phone rang. I answered without looking at the screen. When did you start playing mind games? It was Clara. Hard to get tactics don't suit you, Leo. These old things won't change anything. I don't want to see you looking foolish. Don't disappoint me. I was instantly awake, but before I could speak, she continued, her tone full of disappointment and disdain. Ethan has been pampered since he was a kid. If you're angry, take it up with me, not him. To think that in her eyes, I was now someone without the most basic human decency. If I had really gone after Ethan, he wouldn't be looking so lively right now. After a brief silence, she spoke coldly. Get this wedding done, and I'll end our contract. So I started planning Clara and Ethan's wedding. Many of Clara's friends knew that she and I were supposed to get married. With her first love back in the picture, I became an object of ridicule. He's got some ironclad nerves or a really thick skin, I overheard one of them say at a venue inspection. I'd have no face left to show. People climbing up from the bottom have no limits, another added. Grabbing onto Clara is a chance they won't miss. A bodyguard being played by a former employer, still dreaming of reaching her level. He needs to consider who he is. My face burned with shame. I grabbed a nearby sign stand and threw it at them. I couldn't care less about family backgrounds, I snarled. But when did you get so many dogs in your family? Who do you think you're calling a dog? One of them rushed forward and kicked me hard. I instinctively wanted to fight back. I raised my fist but stopped myself. What, tried to hit us? He taunted. Sure, you're skilled, but would you dare? Do you still think Clara would cover for you? He had a point. The Clara from the past might have defended me, but now, if I fought these brats, it wouldn't just be a financial issue. A single punch could ruin my future. One of them raised a hand to slap me. I closed my eyes, shaking with suppressed anger. Just hold on. Once the wedding is done, you can leave. The expected pain never came. Instead, I heard a muffled groan. Who gave you the guts? A familiar voice spat. I opened my eyes. It was Chloe. She had kicked the guy to the ground and was now holding a baseball bat, her eyes as cold as ice. You dare touch someone from my house? Are you tired of living? But he's just shameless. Chloe landed a heavy blow with the bat. The guy coughed up blood, his eyes wide with fear. She stepped aside disdainfully, scanning the terrified crowd. He's my bodyguard, she said, her voice chilling. Even if I kill one of you, I've got it covered. Apologize. Sorry, they stammered. I don't forgive, I replied coldly, and gave the guy on the ground a swift kick. If Chloe was going to help me, I was damn well going to fight back. He coughed up more blood. Chloe looked at me, impressed. Hey, she said, grabbing my hand. Why bother with this crappy wedding? Let's take a drive. Instead of taking a drive, she took me back to my place. She relaxed on my love seat. Before I could speak, she started first. I didn't sleep at all last night. Can I just nap here for a bit? I went to get a light blanket for her. As I turned to place it over her, she grabbed my wrist. She looked up, half smiling, her eyes slightly red. Did it feel good? She asked, referring to the scene with her friends. It did, I admitted. Chloe's smile deepened. There's something that feels even better. Want to try? Her gaze held a seductive hook, like a temptress luring me into dangerous waters. I felt a warning bell go off in my head. My expression darkened. Chloe? She released me, appearing unbothered. I'm a normal woman. Have any booze? Let's drink. I was feeling stressed, a heavy weight on my chest that wouldn't go away. Sure, I said. Okay. She ordered a bunch of beers. I had one bottle. She finished the rest. I have a low tolerance for alcohol, and that one bottle was my limit. In a half-daze, I saw Chloe's handsome face looming closer. She stared at me, her eyes flickering with an unknown emotion. Mess around with me anymore, I slurred, and I can't promise I'll keep my hands off you. I stared back, my brain tangled, a raw urge rising from deep within me. Suddenly, I leaned in, grabbed the collar of her shirt, and kissed her soft lips. Chloe froze. After a long moment, her voice came out deeply hoarse. "Leo!" I tore off her shirt and pressed her down onto the couch. It was a night of chaos. The next morning when I woke up, Chloe was already awake, standing by the window. She was bathed in the morning light, exuding a warm, soothing aura that oddly made me feel at ease. "You're awake?" she said. I got up, my back aching terribly. The first step I took, I nearly fell. Chloe caught me quickly. "You need more practice," she teased, her arms on either side of me. "Next time." She paused. Then her tone shifted. "Leo, I'm a bit traditional. You slept with me, so you have to be responsible." And just like that, I was with Chloe. What happened that night was mostly my fault. I wasn't as drunk as I let on. I just needed an excuse to let loose, to feel something other than pain. It just so happened to be her. Precisely her. In the adult world, what's done is done. Since then, Chloe stuck around my place. We spent days and nights together. Time flew by, and Clara and Ethan's wedding date was fast approaching. After checking on a venue one day, I bumped into the two of them, holding hands and looking perfectly in sync. Ethan left for a moment, and Clara approached me. She stared at me for a long time, her dark eyes filled with scrutiny. "You got a girlfriend?" Maybe it was because of the wild nights with Chloe, but seeing Clara again, the sharp pain of being dumped had lessened. Facing her, I even felt a bit annoyed. "Your girlfriend got into a fight with Tony's crew for you," she said, a hint of accusation in her voice. It seemed she didn't know it was Chloe who had the run-in with them. Clara coughed. "There's no need to bring just anyone around to tick me off," she said. "She talks about deep feelings but turns around and marries someone else. She played around but never really dated." I couldn't hold back. I snapped back, "She's not just anyone." I had always been protective, first of Clara, but now of someone else. Clara seemed surprised by my quick defense, standing there stunned. After a moment, she raised her hand to touch my face, but I instinctively dodged, and her hand fell short. "Don't do something stupid just to get back at me," she warned. I didn't care what she thought anymore. I turned to leave, but I didn't expect Chloe to be there, waiting to pick me up. As soon as I got in the car, she flung herself at me, landing a hurried, possessive kiss as if to declare ownership. After a long moment, she pulled back. "Was it a good talk?" I thought for a moment, then answered honestly. "Still better talking with you." I asked, "Why are you here?" Chloe smirked, her eyes shining with pride. "Forgot? I told you last night. Grandpa's birthday party is next week. I'm taking you to get fitted for a suit with me." She was serious. Meeting the family usually meant things were for real. I wasn't sure if her family knew about Clara and me, but jumping from one sister to the other was never a good look. Chloe's smile faded. "Are you in this for real, or are you just messing around with me?" I stayed quiet. She scoffed lightly. "Leo, are you really just playing me?" After that, Chloe stopped coming by my place, but she texted me good morning and good night every single day. The same few lines over and over. Habits are strange. Before she moved in, I never felt lonely living by myself. After she stopped coming, the apartment felt empty and wrong. The days drifted by, and soon it was the day of her grandfather's party. Chloe didn't send a message that day. Instead, Ethan paid me a visit. He dropped his pretend gentle mask, flaunting his victory. "Thought I'd return these to you," he said, dumping a bag on my floor. "Especially this. Clara trashed it. It's yours, right?" In the bag were all the gifts I'd given Clara over the years. In his hand, he held a bullet necklace. It was made from the bullet I took for her, the one she had extracted and turned into a necklace she always wore. The memory of the bullet piercing my flesh was still vivid. Leo, with your status, you'll never be a match for Clara, Ethan smirked. Just like this bullet necklace doesn't belong in any formal setting. By the way, Clara said that no matter how skilled a bodyguard is, he can't beat a loyal boyfriend. Because in a moment of danger, a loyal boyfriend would die for her. I never realized it was all an act from the very beginning. I stood there for a long time after Ethan left. Then I threw everything he brought into the trash. I pulled out my phone to call Chloe, but hesitated and hung up. "Change your mind about coming with me?" A lazy voice came from nearby. Chloe stood not far away, waving her phone. She stepped over and took my hand. "Let's go." "I haven't figured it out," I admitted. "Am I going just to go, or is it for revenge?" She looked at me hard, her expression sharp despite her carefree act. "Don't you mind?" I asked. "Nope," she said, leading me away. "Leo, I'm waiting for the day you love me to death." At the party, just before we went in, she paused. "Want to spice things up a bit?" she whispered. She pulled me down by the neck and kissed me hard. When she let go, there were sparks in her eyes. "Not bad," she grinned. "Let's go." The party was crowded. I'd been to plenty of these events, but always as security, never as a guest. Chloe was called away by the lady of the house. "Want to wait in my room?" she asked. "Why? Don't I deserve to be seen?" I mimicked her earlier teasing. Chloe paused, then laughed. "Fine, wait for me here." I found a quiet corner to sit and wait. Soon, a cool voice cut through the noise. "Why are you here?" It was Clara, looking down at me. "I told you not to show up today." Her eyes clouded over as she noticed my neck. "What is that? You got a girlfriend already. Who is she?" she demanded, grabbing my arm. I shrugged her off. "Clara, we're just employer and employee. My personal life isn't your business." I started to walk away, but she pulled me back, her eyes flashing with anger that quickly turned to mockery. "You lied, right? There's no woman." "Let go," I said through gritted teeth. "People are watching." Clara smirked, noticing my discomfort. "Come with me." "This is between him and me. Don't interfere," Clara snapped at someone who tried to intervene. "Really?" Chloe scoffed, suddenly reappearing and wrapping her arm possessively around my waist. "What if I'm his girlfriend?" Clara fell silent, her gaze dropping to Chloe's hand on my waist, her face darkening. "How did you two get together?" she asked, her voice icy. Chloe grinned slyly. "You didn't repay the life-saving favor, so your sister had to help you out." Clara's expression turned uglier. She glared at me, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Is this how you get back at me? By being with my sister? Leo, you're something else. But don't forget your place." I didn't understand why she was so mad. She was the one who let go first. "We're just employer and employee. You don't have a say in my personal life." "Really?" Clara's face was dark. "The contract clearly states that within 24 hours, if the employer needs you, you have to be there. No questions asked." Before I could say anything, Chloe yanked me away. At that moment, a splash of red wine hit her beautiful face, dripping down her chin. Ethan was standing there, holding an empty wine glass, looking stunned. "I wasn't trying to splash you," he mumbled. "It was meant for him." "Ethan, I haven't wronged you, have I?" I asked, noticing the flicker of jealousy in his eyes. "You're trying to steal my fiancée. You're lucky a splash of wine is all you got," he shouted, drawing everyone's attention. He held up his phone. "Leo, isn't the guy in this photo you? You're not going to deny it, right?" In the picture, Clara was asleep in a chair, and I was gently placing a blanket over her. The love in my eyes was undeniable. "How shameless," someone mumbled, "chasing after someone who's already engaged." "I heard he's just a bodyguard," another whispered. "People like him are just trying to climb the social ladder." "I never interfered," I protested. Enough! Clara's cold voice cut through the murmurs. You're causing a scene. Just leave. I looked at her in disbelief. I understood her standing by Ethan, but not at the cost of twisting the truth and humiliating me. Suddenly, Chloe took my hand, her touch a lifeline. My eyes got a little misty. He didn't interfere with your relationship, she said calmly. Is that so hard to admit? She then added, looking at me. With me as your amazing girlfriend, do you really have eyes for anyone else? I couldn't describe how I felt, but mostly it was gratitude. No, I said, my voice firm. You're all I need. Chloe handed me a glass of wine, still grinning. She guided my hand, and, as if making a toast, we splashed the wine right onto Ethan. He let out a sharp cry as his white suit turned red. Chloe, that was too far, Clara hissed. Chloe was unfazed. I hold grudges. Next time you mess with my boyfriend, it won't just be a splash. She started to lead me away, but stopped. Oh, and he's off tonight. If you really need someone, call me. I'll fill in. She took me upstairs to her room. While she showered, my phone rang. It was Clara. I ignored it. After 4 or 5 calls, she switched to texting. Come down. You and Chloe, when did it start? Leo, do you even know what you're doing? Just apologize to Ethan. I found her annoying and turned off my phone. I must have been exhausted because I fell asleep. When I woke up, Chloe was out of the shower, dressed in a robe. Hearing me stir, she put down her phone. Hey, you're up, she said, her face warmer than before. Have some food. I brought some cake and barbecue from the party. I wasn't sure what you'd like. The cake was my favorite flavor. I suddenly remembered how, back overseas, Chloe would sometimes visit her sister. Whenever there was an event, she'd wander around collecting cakes for us. A thought popped into my head. Are you this thoughtful with everyone? I'm not that free, she replied. And you love this flavor, remember? Whenever you got to eat it, you'd be a little happier. She paused, seeming to realize something. Are you trying to trick me into confessing? I stayed quiet, and she smiled, reading my thoughts. I knew early on, she admitted, then leaned in and kissed me. Her robe loosened as she took my hand and guided it inside. As we moved toward the bed, she stopped, her gaze intense. Want the lights off? Yeah? But before she could turn them off, there was a knock at the door. Ignore it, she murmured. But the knocking grew more urgent. Open up! It's your sister! Go see what she wants, I nudged Chloe. She opened the door, leaning on the frame. Late night, and you're not snuggling with your fiancé. What's up? She teased. Seeing me wrapped in a blanket on the bed, Clara's face turned pale. Her voice was stiff. You've got 10 minutes to come downstairs. I'm not feeling well tonight, I said. I'm taking the night off. Chloe laughed. My boyfriend's tired. Talk to me if you have something to say. Clara said nothing for a moment, just stared at me, her voice turning venomous. Your mother's bracelet is with me. The implication was clear. If I didn't go, I'd never see it again. The woman I once loved was now a stranger blackmailing me. The irony was bitter. Meeting her gaze, I spoke slowly. Toss it. She didn't want me, and I don't want her things. Clara's expression turned ugly. She stormed into the room just as Ethan appeared at the door, his face dark. Clara, did you really come looking for Leo in the middle of the night? After that night, Clara and Ethan argued more and more. A month later, their wedding was called off, and my contract was finally up. I had saved enough for a down payment on a nice 3-bedroom place and was packing to move out. As I was heading up to my old apartment one last time, I smelled smoke and alcohol. My hand paused on my keys. I locked eyes with the person sitting slumped by my door. It was Clara. The sensor light flickered on, revealing her worn-out expression and red eyes. "When did you change the locks?" she asked. I ignored her question. "All the wedding arrangements are made. If you have any objections, have your secretary call me." "I haven't thrown out your stuff," she said, nodding to a large box on the floor. It was filled with the gifts she had given me. "Once given, they're yours," she said. "I won't take them back." "Then just throw them away," I said, opening the door. She grabbed me. "Leo, how long are you going to be this stubborn?" she demanded, her gaze cold. "If you're with Chloe just to spite me, you've succeeded. Now call her and break up." I shook off her hand and tried to go inside, but she blocked my way. "So you really are with her just to spite me, right?" She was insane. I was too tired to argue. Suddenly, she pushed me against the door. I reacted on instinct, grabbing her arm and flipping her over my shoulder. She hit the ground with a thud, looking dazed. She got up slowly, a strange expression on her face. You threw me." "I can't believe I threw my boss," I said flatly. "Just deduct the damages from my final paycheck." Her face looked even worse. Just then, my phone rang. It was Chloe. "Are you out yet? You really don't need me to pick you up?" "No need, I'm just—" "Can you honestly say you don't love me at all anymore?" Clara interrupted loudly. "That you only love Chloe?" There was silence on the other end of the line. Then, Chloe's slightly cold voice came through. "So the reason you're late is because of her. Leo, I told you to use me, but don't lie to me." She hung up. A rush of panic hit me. I tried calling back, but she wouldn't answer. As I kept trying, Clara grabbed my arm. "Is it necessary?" she asked, her deep eyes fixed on me. "Admit it, Leo. The one you love is still me. Break it off with her." "No," I replied firmly. "Because I truly fell for Chloe, and I want to be with her, and I'll tell her that myself." I found Chloe at her birthday party. In a noisy karaoke room, her friends were singing wildly. When I walked in, the music stopped. They were friendlier than Clara's crowd, treating me with a respect that felt unusual. "Where is she?" I asked. They pointed to a couch where Chloe was passed out in a stunning black dress, clearly drunk. "Don't let go of her," one of her friends told me quietly. "She's liked you for years. Remember when you were on that mission overseas? Chloe was so worried she followed you almost every time. When you got shot, she left a full board meeting and chartered a plane to fly to you. She even got into a car accident on her way from the airport to the hospital, but she refused to treat her own injuries until she knew you were safe. She watched over you day and night until you woke up. She made us promise not to tell you. Apparently, she had been doing so much for me behind my back." My mind reeled. "We're fine," I said, my voice thick. "Just a little misunderstanding, but why is she so drunk?" "She's not drunk," another friend whispered. "She just had too much to drink and had an allergic reaction." From the couch, Chloe opened her eyes and frowned. "How did I end up with friends who can't even lie properly?" I stifled a laugh. "We'll be heading out." The moment we got back to my place, Chloe kissed me eagerly, pushing me into the bedroom. I cautiously responded, and it was like flipping a switch. We kissed like we couldn't let go. My phone rang. Frowning, I fumbled for it. It was Clara's number. Chloe saw it, took the phone, and answered, putting it on speaker. Neither of us spoke, but on the other end, Clara's tone was softer than before. "I bought a gift for you. Make sure you get it." Chloe scoffed and bit down on my neck. It hurt, but before I could react, she covered my lips with hers, her voice a low murmur against my mouth. "Leo, I've always had feelings for you." From the phone came Clara's hesitant voice. "Leo, who are you with? What are you doing?" That girl has some really bad taste, Chloe said smugly into the phone. It's nighttime. We're a couple. What do you think we're up to? There was silence from the other end. So you've never been with Ethan? I heard Clara fume before the call cut off. Chloe noticed my fingers brushing against the faint scar just below her ribcage from the car accident. It's nothing, she said dismissively. It hurts a lot, though, right? Nothing compared to taking a bullet for my sister, she shot back. I mean, that was— Stop right there, I said, kissing the corner of her mouth. I'm not interested in my past with her. I just want to tell you I've moved on. Chloe's eyes lit up. What do you mean? It means she's not in my heart anymore. So now, your heart has room for me? I thought for a moment, then nodded. Do you remember when you said I'd fall for you someday? Yeah? Turns out you're a top-notch fortune teller. The next second, the covers were over us, and Chloe was on top. Baby, she whispered, how about one more time? A month passed. The night before Clara and Ethan's rescheduled wedding, it was canceled again. Reporters revealed Clara had called it off. The company's stock took a hit. I couldn't be bothered. I was more concerned about my release contract. Then, out of nowhere, Clara showed up outside my new building with a fancy car and a bouquet of rare blue roses. Leo, she said, I found the ring. Would you give me a chance to marry you? Bystanders started to cheer. I was holding a bag of groceries, utterly speechless. I ignored her and turned to leave, but she caught up. I called off the wedding, she said with a self-deprecating smile. It's hilarious, right? Realizing at the very end that I can't let you go. Yeah, it's ridiculous, I said, but I've got to get home and cook. Leo, she grabbed my arm, her eyes filled with regret. Everyone makes mistakes. Can't you give me one chance? I'm not in love with you anymore. I don't believe that. You loved me so much you risked your life for me. I calmly pushed her hand away. Yep, I risked it all. And what did it get me? Even if you didn't love me, you could have been decent. Instead, you chose the cruelest way. You got cozy with him right in front of me and let your friends humiliate me. Is that what you call love, Clara? No. You're just unwilling to lose. Her eyes gradually dimmed. The next day, she posted a long essay online, claiming she loved someone else and was going after him. It stirred up the internet. Angela read the jealous comments to me every night, insisting I compensate her for the emotional damage. Days later, Clara messaged me to come sign the release contract. When I arrived, she looked exhausted, her cold demeanor gone. This isn't a release contract, I said, frowning at the paper she handed me. It's a share transfer document. Marry me, and you get half the company's shares, she said. I put down the pen, anger simmering. As I turned to leave, I heard the office door lock. In an hour, they'll announce our engagement, she said calmly. The signal is jammed. You can't call anyone. As she finished speaking, there was a loud crash. The glass door to the office shattered. Chloe stood there, holding a chair, her hand bleeding. You're hurt, I said, rushing over. He didn't give you any trouble, did he? She asked, unfazed. With my skills, who could trouble me? Great, she grinned. Now let's watch the show. Just then, Ethan stormed in and slapped Clara hard across the face. Love, don't love, what does that make me? Your toy? Enough, Clara yelled. We're done. I glanced at Chloe. Let's go, your hand needs attention. As we left, Chloe couldn't resist one last jab. Congrats in advance on the wedding. The day before their now canceled wedding, Clara texted me just 3 words. I am sorry. As I finished reading, a soft sneer came from behind me. Can't give it up yet, huh? I deleted the message without replying. Chloe's hand slid under my shirt. her voice gravelly. "Then make it up to me." I turned off the lights and held her close. "Chloe," I whispered into the darkness, "I really love you. You're all I need."